billions going out. Well, as you can see, I'm a Nigerian. I'm from this paradoxical continent, where today our most notorious export is stolen money. Stolen money. I was also in the forefront of effort to change this narrative. In 2003, the then president of Nigeria called me and handed me a piece of paper, a note, appointing me the first executive chairman of the Economic and Financial Crimes Commission. It was a pressure by the international community that we must have that commission. The world was getting fed up with us. No one knew about the commission. Not the president, not the parliament, nobody. It was just a piece of paper that was given to me. No money, no office. In 4 years' time, in 4 years, I built that institution into one of the most, if not the most successful and formidable anti-corruption agency, not just in Africa, but the world. Yes, we worked hard. We built networks across the world. We went out to look for support. We recovered billions. We convicted hundreds of people. We almost changed the entire fight against corruption in Nigeria. How did I do it? I want to share it with you. I do intend to give you a story of 3 cases out of the hundreds that we handle. The 3 will probably explain the entire work that we did, the frustrations, the difficulties, and of course, some of the success stories. The first one will be a case of a Nigerian sitting in Nigeria and stealing from foreigners, the one I told you earlier. The second case will be a gang of foreigners stealing from Nigeria, corrupting Nigerians. And of course, the last one will be a case of a Nigerian politician stealing from his own people and often taking the money out, taking it to the developed world. The first case, Emmanuel Nwude, one of the most successful 419 fraudsters. He duped a Brazilian bank $254 million successfully. The bank collapsed. The manager died. I personally arrested Emmanuel Nwude. And as usual, with fraudsters like him, he wanted to compromise me, to bribe me. He called me, "Sir, what is your problem? This money belongs to the white people. They are rich. Let's share it. Take half and give us half." That's the end of the story. People like him got away with this type of behavior. Of course, I refused. I charged him to court. I literally took everything from him, money in and outside Nigeria, properties in and outside Nigeria. In one bank, I seized 10 million worth of his own shares. I got him convicted. I returned the money to the victims, the Brazilians. This is me returning the money. But not only that, I returned to others as well. This is me going to China, to Hong Kong to return. We return millions of dollars to victims across the world. This is justice at work. But the case of Emmanuel Nwude made us to be more determined to clean up, to sanitize. It was terrible. People like him compromise our law enforcement, compromise our banking system. In the course of his own case, I stumbled into an account with millions of dollars belonging to someone very close to me, very close. Guess who it is? My boss, the chief law officer, the inspector general of police in Nigeria. A tough job. I arrested him. I charged him to court. I recovered everything from him. I returned it, and I got him convicted. He served a jail term. This is Tafa Balogun. Not only him, but even the banking sector. Within the period that we worked, in less than 2 months, I arrested about 49 chief executives of banks in Nigeria. Many of them are friends, personal friends. This guy. It was a tough job. But, well, fighting corruption is a war. And if you are in a war, you must go for the big targets. Get a suitable candidate for you to make a maximum impact. That's what we did. And it brought a change. We were fed up. Our country was in a mess. They destroyed the name and image of our country. We needed to do that. The second case is the Halliburton scandal. I'm sure some of you must have heard of that. Halliburton is my own case as well. I was the one. I refused to allow it to die. It's a case of 4 companies, global companies, multinational, from the US, France, Italy, and Japan coming together, and they got a contract of about $6 billion to build a natural gas project in Nigeria. In the course of it, they decided to bribe the Nigerian government officials about $182 million with evidence. I first got hint of this case in France. I went back home. I tried to investigate the case, but it was so difficult, or probably impossible, because the companies were not there in Nigeria. They didn't have accounts. There were no records. None of the persons were inside my country. They all left. I had to come back. I rushed back to Paris. I went to France many times. I put on a letter of request. For about a year, I was trying to get the French authorities to help us. At the end, the investigation magistrate told me, well, the letter that I wrote, which was about a year ago, he couldn't get anyone to translate it from English to French language. So there was... I knew that then it was a hopeless case. I moved to Italy. I went to Italy. I had a friend called Fabio. Fabio was one of the big prosecutors. But I found, they were extremely very busy. It was the days of Berlusconi. They were very, very busy. Fabio told me that they wanted to ask for my own support because of what they were involved in. I thought of going to Japan. Japan is extremely far. But I also knew that I might just end up in the trap of this translation because I do not speak Japanese language. I decided to go to Washington, D.C. At least that problem of translation won't be there. But wait a minute, there was a problem. As at that time, the Vice President of America was Dick Cheney, board member of Halliburton. Halliburton. But to my pleasant surprise, the DOJ, the Department of Justice in the US, took this case. They took it. They investigated. They brought the people to justice. They placed a fine of over $1.5 billion against the company, the biggest for corporate corruption in the world. I also was here in Berlin. I came and reported Siemens here, and also Bilfinger, Julius Baer. I couldn't get the support. I came here, I met with BKK, that's the investigation authority here. I tried if they could take my own case. Siemens was involved in corruption in Nigeria. The same thing with Julius Baer and Bilfinger. I couldn't get support as well. I decided to go to Washington as well. I went back, and they took the cases. The 3 cases or more, the US government made over $3 billion in terms of fines against such companies. But the sad part of it is that in my own country, where the criminal activity took place, not a single individual was made to face justice, especially after I was asked to leave my own position. Not only that, we did not make a dollar out of that, so much money that was made by the US authorities. The third case is the case of a Nigerian politician stealing from his own people, and like I said, often taking the money out. James Ibori. James Ibori was in the UK. He got convicted twice for stealing in the 90s. He found himself back in Nigeria. He got elected and he became a governor of Delta State, one of the rich state oil producing states in Nigeria. He was a governor for about 8 years. We started investigating him just like all the other politicians. We and also the UK authorities. UK authorities were also investigating, helping us with those who stole money from Nigeria and taking it out of the country. We found out that James took at least half of the money that the state earned within the period he was a governor. And that state must have earned over $1 billion. While I was investigating him, of course, as usual, like almost all of them, James approached me with $15 million in cash, not again, cash, $15 million, to stop his own investigation. I called my own people because it's massive bag. 2 people will not be able to take it. We took the money and then lodged it in the Central Bank of Nigeria. I arrested him after. I charged him to court. I presented the money as evidence for the court of law. Just then, James Ibori was his own friend became president of Nigeria. They decided to go after me. They removed me, sent me to a school, the school that I was a teacher before. I was asked to go and become a student. They attempted on my life. They tried to kill me. But as God will have it, Umaru died, the president, and things started falling apart for James. James was arrested in Dubai, taken back to the UK, prosecuted there, convicted. Today, James is serving a jail term in a UK prison. Thanks to our effort and thanks to what I call globalized justice. Case like James taught us. And when I said, when you fight corruption, it fights back. The case of James Ibori is a clear example of how corruption fights back. It normally fights in stages. First, they will try to compromise you, give you the money if you want. If you fail, if you refuse, if you are able to resist, then you will be a target of destruction. It happened to me all. If you are not lucky, you will lose your life. It happened. But I am grateful. I survived. And we thank God we've been able to at least show something. Today, Nigeria is the #1 country in terms of return of stolen money. We succeeded in getting our money back more than any other country in the world. Switzerland alone returned over $1 billion to Nigeria, thanks to the work we did. Today, UK established a special unit within which they have a special overseas anti-corruption unit. And that is making a massive difference. I want to ask other countries to do the same thing. Together, I believe, we will be able to make it impossible for any stolen money to have safe haven anywhere in the world. And also, corrupt people will not have a place where they are going to hide. It makes sense to fight corruption. Corruption is a monster. This is James Ibori serving his own jail term in the UK. I believe my message then was, help us to fight corruption. And if we are successful, we do not need handouts again. We will take care of ourselves, and you will be happy with us. And we will probably not see those nasty things that you see every day. People died in trying to move from one continent to the other. It's sad. It's tragic. If we take care of ourselves, you will not see this type of things. We worked hard to ensure that from our own side, we have done it. We need the world to come together. I think all of us do have a role to play in this. If we come together, we will make it. Corruption is a monster that all of us must find a way of corruption. This is the car I was driving the day I was attacked. This is a bullet, it's a Honda car, and that is a bulletproof vehicle, Honda Accord. The reason why I'm standing before you is because I survived. It is a bullet directly to my face. It has happened to many people like us all over the world. It's probably the most dangerous work, but I can assure you it is worth it. I ask all of us to stand up and confront corruption. It's a monster that must be fought. But I want to assure you, this is one fight. This is one war that is worth fighting. Thank you very much. Thank you.